This is another illustration for my Lord of the Rings set. The drawing is done on mixed media paper and I'm using Tempera for the painting. For the letter G, I went with Galadriel from the Rings of Power TV show, because I really love her look with the armor. There's a scene in the show where they are getting on the boats to go to Middle-earth. They are in Numenor at this point, so while the Queen, Galadriel and all the soldiers walk through the city, there's a bunch of red petals falling in the air. Since I really liked that whole sequence, I decided to add rose petals on my illustration too. But that's where I got the idea from. I was also inspired by the overall colors of that scene. It's very warm toned, but it's also light. I did a warm underpainting just to establish the overall warmth that I want in the piece. I added a few color to the sky too, but I went with a soft blue-green, so it wouldn't clash with the reds on her. I'm going for a vignette look as well, as in I don't want to paint the entire background. I don't think it will make the illustration better. For the grey in her armor, I also chose to use the same type of blue as in the sky. I just prefer it when greys have more color in them than just black blended with white. Just a personal preference, I guess. And sorry for the lighting changes. I was trying a new setting on my camera. I removed the autofocus because I thought it would make the video look better. However, I was wrong. Or I don't really know how to work it without autofocus. I thought that if I selected the place to focus, it would only focus on that, but it seems it kept changing. It's like it kept trying to focus on different things, changing the light look. So I'll just go back to the auto settings for the next. I tried to keep her hair yellow with warm tones. I think at first I had added some greenish yellow. I'm still traumatized by that horrible gouache study I did of Anatar, so I tried to be careful with her hair and how it looks compared to the rest of the warmed colors. When I moved on to the armor, I also used purples for the shadows, or the darkest areas on the metal. But I always try to keep it blue. It's just that sometimes it looks like maybe the purple was too dark for the rest of the illustration. For the shadows of the hair, I added a lot of warm, darker yellow. And after I had the color I liked established, I started working on the small details. I tried to add definition with the smaller brushes and darker colors, so some parts of the character looks delineated. But it's all done with a brush and with paint. Maybe the bluish armor is too unrealistic, but I don't mind. I like to paint in a stylized way, and I think the blue is a good way to interpret the grays that would be on the armor in real life. I did have some trouble rendering the armor, mostly because her armor has some flowing chainmail. I think it's meant to be chainmail. I just felt like with the lines, since I delineated some parts of it, it looked strange to me compared to the rest of the rendering. I just tried to make it look more natural. Maybe it's just that I used a color that was too dark, so it gives that strange impression. I also tried to keep the highlights warmer on the armor. The armor side near her legs looks like a skirt to me. It's meant to be chainmail as well. Since I'm going for the vignette look, I left parts of it unfinished. I tried to make it seem natural though. So I tried to fill more of the armor color in that area and gently make it more painterly in that zone. I kept the highlights and small details near her face and arm, since they are the focus of the painting. I took a while to render the hair. I think it's an important element of the design. I wanted it flowing in the wind. Like, I wanted it to have the effect of air and movement. I also muted some of the color at the ends to not have it stand out in comparison to the rest of the colors. I kept the warmer tones near the focus of the piece, which would be her face. And at the end I filled in the petals with red. I left it for the end since many of them go in front of the character. It's just easier to paint on top than it is to paint around it. While I do like the colors, I'm not too happy with this illustration, but it's mostly the values. I think that if I had planned a better shadow and light, it may have come out better. It's something to keep in mind. And here's the finished version with the text added on Clip Studio Paint.